Good evening, yoga friends, yogis, yoginis. Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock. It's time for our midweek mood massage. The trick is you have to give it yourself. I'm going to cue you through some anatomically correct exercise. We'll be building strength and stretch simultaneously. Wait for a few participants before we get into the flow. It's a pretty wintry day here in Cape Town. Very nice to be able to warm ourselves up. Hey TJ, welcome. First one in. So I'm sitting on a pile of books to start off with, like in a saddle position. Maybe while we wait for a few people, just grab a few books, maybe 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters, just elevate yourself slightly. I'm sitting with my knees straddling the books. A lot of the movements that we're going to be doing today are focused on the core, on the hips. So a lot of lunges where we mobilizing our hips, twisting our hips. These hips really govern a lot of the comfort in our body. If our hips are frozen, we end up moving in our spine, which is not really designed for that. So on a saddle position, my bum bones are sitting down on these books. I'm just going to sit for a minute or so while we get started. Close your eyes. Consciously keep your mouth closed, breathing through your nose. You're going to rest your palms on your thighs facing up. Just feel the fullness of the breath. Take three or four long breaths. Feel the breath fill up. As you inhale, can you feel a downward pressure on your sitting bones into the books? And also a lift in your shoulder blades. Try and find an ease with the breath. If you want, you can set your intent for this practice. Perhaps a visualization of how you might want to feel towards the end of the practice. And then let that go and really sink into the feeling right now, working from where you are. Actively lift your shoulders. Keep breathing through the nose, lifting your shoulders, pressing down into your sitting bones. And on the next inhale, lift your arms and really stretch. Stretch up through the shoulders. Fingers are spread. I'm reaching up, palms are facing each other, pressing down into the sitting bones. Synchronize the stretch to the breath. Maybe tilt slightly forward. Prayer. Arms out to the side. And turn 90 degrees to the side, lifting your shoulders. Back to the center. Shoulders are lifting over to the other side. Back to the center. Prayer. And then come up off the books. To the front of the mat. Okay. Try a little slow start there. My fingers are right up at the front of the mat. My fingers are spread broad, as wide as possible on the mat, like wider than shoulder width. My knees are together. Straighten your right leg out behind you. You're on the toe box. Now pull your hips a little bit further back, so you slide that foot even further back. Left arm forward and up. So it's a straight line from that foot up to the hips, through the shoulder, all the way up to the fingertips. Fingers are spread. We're driving back into that heel and reaching forward to the fingertips. So you're lengthening asymmetrically through the body. Keep pulling your hips back. Lift that front hand up. Look up. and press that back thigh up. Arm forward again and down. Knees are together in the center of the mat. Okay, other leg, left leg straight out behind you. The toe box is balanced, centered. Now move your hips and foot, slide it slightly further back, right arm forward. And again, visualize the line from the heel through the hips, shoulders, all the way to the fingertips. Straighten and lengthen. Get lift in that front arm. Drive that heel back. That back thigh is also pressing upwards. Front arm goes up. Maybe you're looking up. Breathing through the nose. Arm forward again. And down. Okay, now knees are hip width apart. Your toes are tucked. Try and make your side body long. Okay, so how can you make your side body short? Is to be very bowed or very arched. If you can make it in the center, your shoulders are pressing towards your ears. Your hips are pulling back. Maybe you actually want to shuffle your knees a little bit further back so you can stretch your torso more. Keep that stretch in the torso. Straighten your legs. Pressing your thighs back. Imagine someone is pulling your thighs back. Can you do that yourself? Press your thighs into the back of your hamstrings. Visualize your hips pulling back. Pull back into that stiffness and savor it, breathing into the most stiff or sensitive part. Okay, tiptoe your feet together in the center of the mat. You're on high tiptoes, bend the knees. Holding it there in downward dog. Okay, knees down on the mat in the center again. Nice. Right hand forward, and you're balancing on your fingertips. Lift your left leg straight out behind you, keeping the leg parallel to the mat. You can point the toes, or you can flex the toes, like lift them, and you reach back into the heel, which is ultimately the end of that limb. So stretching to the heel. Okay, knees together, hands are centered. Left arm forward, you're balancing on the fingertips. Right leg straight up behind you. Feel the difference between pointing your toes and lifting them. Reaching back to the heel. That front shoulder is also lifting. Okay, back to neutral. Downward dog again. First, center yourself and get your torso long so your shoulders are pressing forward. Tuck your toes and then straighten the legs. Tiptoe your feet together, drive the heels up into high tiptoes, bend the knees deeply all the way down to the floor. Okay, right leg straight out behind you, left arm forward. Keep your ribs lifting, get extra length from the heel to the fingertips. And on the next exhale, keeping your hand nice and vertical, elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen out, elbow to knee on the exhale. Inhale, you stretch. One more exhale. One more lengthen, and then back to neutral. Knees are together, hands are shoulder width apart. Left leg straight up behind you, parallel to the mat. Right arm forward. Lift your ribs and then get a little bit more height in the leg and the arm. Exhale, knee to forward. Try and keep nice and symmetrical. Hand is vertical in a nice kind of karate chop with fingers spread. One last one, knee to elbow on the exhale. Inhale, stretch. Back down to all fours, downward dog. Tiptoe your feet together in the center of the mat. Lift your right leg up behind you, reaching up into that heel. A little bit higher you're on tiptoes on the standing leg. That top leg's as high as you can. Okay, lower the leg down. Feet are together in the center of the mat. You're on high tiptoes. Lift the left leg up, reaching up into the heel. Leg down, feet are together, knees wide apart, toes are touching. Come up onto your fingertips, elbows are lifting. Sink your groins down, belly button down. Like a kind of a scorpion ready to strike. Get your hips down between your legs, between your knees. Getting your pubic bone towards the floor. Just lift through the shoulder blades. Back up into all fours, tuck the toes, straighten the legs, bend the knees, and on the inhale, jump forward. Interlace your hands behind your back. Lengthen the back of your neck, so you're looking behind, between your legs. Now bend the knees, lift the chest, all the way up. Nice. Warm up already. This is a bit of a camera angle adjustment. Cool. Then listen to your body and listen to your breathing. If you get out of breath, it must be through the nose. If you get out of breath, give yourself time to come back to a comfortable breath. Feet are together, arms out to the side, fingers are spread. Knees are bent. Arms are up. Now I'm hanging from 2 parallel bars. If you hang, your hips stretch down, stretching out the torso. Keeping the knees bent, arms down alongside the mat. You're on your fingertips. Step your right foot back, big distance. Front lunge. Now check the geometry, the front knees over the ankle. The back foot's as far back as you can get it. Check the height of your hips. Get the height of the hips between the heel and the knee, so it's a straight line. Maybe you're lowering your hips, maybe you're lifting them a bit. Now drive the hips up actually, lift the hips. Shoulders are pressing forward. When you've had enough of that, bend the back leg, step forward. Straight away, other side, left foot back, big distance. This front knees over the ankle, back foot's as far back as you can go. Now you play with the height, just feel the difference. Drive the hips up, pressing the shoulders forward. Stepping forward, bend the knees, arms interlaced behind the back. Up you come. Nice. Catch your breath. Make sure you're feeling centered. If there's any dizziness, give yourself time to acclimatize. Knees bent, arms up. Utkatasana, the chair pose. Hands down alongside the mat. Step the right foot back, big distance. And this time drop the knee. Arms up. Those hips are pressing down towards that front ankle. Stretching the hands as far up as you can. Okay, interlace your hands behind your back and then activate that right leg, straightening it. Torso is leaning forward, but there's a lift in the shoulders, so your torso is an extension of the back leg. Okay, step, keeping the arms behind you, step forward. Nice. Knees bent, arms up. Arms, hands down alongside the mat. Left foot back, big distance. Back knee down. Arms up. Hips are driving forward towards that front heel. Interlace your hands behind your back. And when you really lift the hips, activating that back leg. Imagine your torso as an extension of the leg. Stepping forward. Nice. Knees bent, arms up. The nature of yoga is repetition. We're in a prayer down to our knees. Holding it there, looking at the floor, so you're lengthening the back of your neck, lengthening from the bum bones to the top of your skull. Hands are down on the mat, broad apart. Step both legs back to a plank. Okay, now we're lengthening from our shoulders back to our heels. Flip over onto the tops of your feet and then press your hips forward, pulling your shoulders back. Chest forward, shoulders back, thighs are lifting. Back onto all fours, shoulders pressing forward, tuck your toes. Pull your hips back, keep going back all the way until your legs straighten, downward dog. Thighs pressing back. Can you pull your left hip back a little bit further? Pull your right hip back a little bit further. So you're like wagging your tail there. Feel the difference between both sides. Center yourself. Knees down wide apart. Child's pose, modified child's pose. Elbows are up. Keeping lift through the shoulders, lift and length. Sinking your groins down. Tailbone towards the mat. Back up to all fours. Tuck your toes. Straighten your legs, downward dog. High tiptoes. Bend the knees, jump forward. Bend the knees, reach forward with the arms. Hands on the hips. Up you come. Great. Knees bent, arms up. Hands down. Right leg back, big distance. Now the front knees over the ankle. The back foot this time, the sole of the foot is flat. The foot's at 45 degrees. Interlace your hands behind your back. Lift the shoulders, lift, lift, lift. Keep going all the way up. And then hands up, palms facing each other, warrior one. That back thigh is vigorously driving backwards. You can feel it pressing into the back of the hamstrings. The front knee is firmly anchored over the front ankle, but that back thigh is driving back. It's rotating your hips. You're in a powerful prayer. You're leaning forward, so your torso has an extension of your leg. Hands down alongside, step forward, feet are together, left foot back, left leg back. Sole of the foot flat, foot's 45 degrees. Interlace your hands behind your back. Check the line of your torso as an extension of that back leg. Lift your shoulders all the way, and then separate the hands up towards the ceiling. Palms facing each other, back thigh driving back. Prayer, leaning forward, hands down, feet together. Other side, once more. So we're in warrior one legs. Hips are facing the front. Hands behind your back to start. You're really loading up this left thigh, this left hip, I mean. Lift the chest, arms up to warrior one. Prayer, leaning forward, hands down, step forward. Left foot back, 45 degrees, hands behind your back. Lift the chest, arms up, prayer. Prayer down, back to plank. Hips are lifting as if there's a rope pulling your hips towards the ceiling. Tiptoe your feet together. Thighs are driving back like giant levers, pulling the hips back. Bend the knees, jump forward. Bend the knees, reach forward with the hands. Hands on the hips. Up you come. Great. Doing all right? Nice. Working up a bit of a warmth. Much welcome, much needed. Good. Elbows with me. Feet are together at the center of the mat. Step your right foot back big distance. Front knee over the ankle. Place your hands on your hips. This back leg is driving backwards. This thigh is pulling back. It's kind of like a real activation in the hips. Get your shoulders above your hips. Arms parallel to the mat. Spread your fingers. It's like you're pressing this way. This powerful stretch this way. If you were getting squashed between two planes of glass, you'd be extremely one-dimensional, two-dimensional. You'd be quite flat. Point your fingers. Now I'm going to do a 180 with my arms. I'm going to rotate the other way. And I'm going to lean forward, like some kind of a Greek Olympic discus thrower or something. Back up to warrior two. That felt nice. Once more. Back up to warrior two. Step forward. Other side. Left foot back, big distance. Knees bent. There's a big rotation happening because this thigh is pressing back. Shoulders are above my hips. Warrior two. Pull your shoulders a bit back. It's quite a tendency to have your shoulders too far forward of your hips. So Consciously pull them back. Now I'm going to do a 180 with my arms into that. Back up to warrior 2. 180. Warrior 2. Step forward. Great. Nice dynamic movements. Other side again. Right foot back, big distance. Warrior 2. Now drop the back hand on the back leg. Front arm up. Now slide the hand down. Reach the hand up. Maybe get the hip level a little bit lower if possible. Back up to warrior 2. Now the front hand goes down. The inside of the foot fingers are touching the ground. Side angle pose. Looking to the side or you're looking up. Don't let your head flop. Hand down. Step forward, feet are together. Other foot back, big distance. Warrior 2. Back hand slides down the leg. Front hand reaches up. Warrior 2. Front hand down. Fingers on the inside of the foot. Getting as high as you can with the other fingertips. Top hand down. Step forward, feet are together. Knees are bent, arms reaching forward. Hands on the hips. Become. Feel it working in the center. Catch your breath through your nose. Try and move deliberately. And between the motions, can you keep your focus, keep your composure? Feet are together, moving as deliberately as possible. Stepping that right foot back, big distance. Front foot's facing forward, back foot's kind of 90 degrees-ish. There's a micro bend in your knees, so you're not locking. There's a micro bend in your knees. They're kind of straight. And if you stretch those feet into the mat, there's a micro lift in the hips happening. That's what we're looking for. That lift in the hips. Lifting up through to the shoulders. There's 2 columns of lift here. Arms are broad apart, fingers are spread. Keep the hips where they are. Reach as far forward as you can, and then hand grabs the shin or the ankle, stretching up with the top hand. Press this bottom shoulder forward. And stretch up, pull up. Keeping the legs rotate to face the front, and then all the way. Right hand to your left ankle, other hand up. It's a reverse triangle pose. Both legs are straight and hips are pulling back. Breathe into it. Tricky to balance. Inhale, back up. Step forward. Other side, left foot back, big distance. Whoop. Both legs are straight. Front foot straight, back foot 90 degrees. Remember, don't lock your knees. Keep the hips where they are. Reach forward with the shoulders and then down, grabbing the ankle. Gaze up. Open up that upper chest, stretching from hand to hand. Hips are pulling back. That top hip is pulling back, open out. Okay, rotate towards the front and all the way over. Left hand to the right ankle. Reverse triangle pose. Inhale up, stepping forward. Excellent. A couple more lunges, then we're going to change the rhythm. Feet are hip width apart, knees are bent deeply, hands are up, chair pose. Prayer, prayer down. Left fingertips on the ground. Right hand's pressing down on the knee, looking to the side. Now pulling your hips back, can you lengthen from your sitting bones to the top of your head? That should feel quite nice, that twist. If you want, raise that right hand to the ceiling. Okay, top hand to the floor, left hand onto the knee, looking to the side, press down on the knee, pull back with the hips. And if you want to deepen it, Top hand up. Okay, both hands down, step your feet together, left foot back, big distance, knee down, arms up. Imagine there's a moon resting on the back of your body. You're getting stretched over the back of the radius of the moon, sorry, the circumference. Okay, right elbow on your right knee, fingers are spread for power, activate that left side of your body. Front lunge. Okay, both hands down on the inside of the front foot. Can you get your elbows down to the ground? Deep one. Hips are lifting, strange pose. Hips are lifting, elbows on the ground. Okay, drop the back knee. That inside right hand, lift up, reach back, bend the back knee and grab that foot if possible. Then start pressing the foot away from you, looking up. Open up like a propeller. There's a twist happening here. From your hips to your shoulders and from your hips to your feet. Okay, come out of it, facing the front, stepping forward, feet are together, right foot back, big distance, back knee down, arms reaching up, hips are pressing forward towards the front ankle, getting stretched over the circumference of the moon. Left elbow on your left knee, fingers are spread, activating the right side of your body. Lengthening from heel to fingertips. Okay, both elbows are down on the inside of the foot, hips are lifting. Breathing through the nose. Drop the back knee, lift the back foot, reach behind you with that inside left hand, reach back, touch the foot now, the foot's pressing back, look up. Okay, step forward with the feet, other side back, left knee, left leg back. Now I'm kneeling on my left knee, right foot is forward, stretching up. Arms out to the side. Now rotate as if you're kind of in warrior two, but we're kneeling. So my right hand is forward with my right knee. Drop the back hand onto the heel, stretching up with the front hand. You can look to the side, or you can look to the front. It's two different variations of similar thing. Okay, hands are parallel to the mat again. Front fingertips down on the inside of the foot, back hand stretches up. Come up to prayer, left elbow on your right knee. Now your torso is lifting, you're firmly pressing hand to hand. Keep the torso lifting, and when you're ready, activate that left side of your body, driving the heel back, pressing the thigh up, looking to the side, so that the crown of your head is an extension of your leg and your chest. It's a deep twisted prayer, this. Very intense hip action. Okay, come out of it. Let's switch side on the kneeling. Left foot's forward, right knee is back on the ball of the back foot. Stretching up at first. Really rooting down into that knee. Getting lift to the fingertips. Arms out to the side. And rotate so that the left hand is forward over the left knee. Back hand's touching the heel. Stretching up. Looking up either to the front, if hips are facing the front, or you look to the side, you might feel a slight difference. I'm going to press the hips forward, looking to the front. Arms parallel, back up, parallel to the mat. Front fingertips go down on the inside of the foot, stretching up. You're up to prayer. Your right elbow's on your left knee. Dig the elbow into the knee. Get your forearms so that they're an extension of each other. There's a straight line there, so that there's real firmness. Get the twist happening all the way down to the hips. And when you're ready, activate that right side. Lifting the thigh, pressing the thigh up, pulling the heel back. Knee down, release. Okay. We are nearly at the end of this vigorous routine. Hands are spread broad at the front of the mat, more than shoulder width apart. Step your feet back to plank. Tiptoe your feet together in plank. Now, sweep your right knee forward between the hands. So it's a very deep pigeon type of leg. You can drop that back knee, or you can keep it up. Bring your shoulders back over your hips. Arms up. So using the strength of the thighs to generate lift into the hips. If your back knee's off the ground, then that back thigh is pressing upwards. Okay, fingertips are down alongside the mat. The hips are still lifting. The forehead kisses the ground. Hold it there for a few breaths. Hips are lifting. Feel the shift in stiffness. Breathe into the stiffest, most sensitive areas. With lift, can you find space? Okay, keeping the front knee where it is. Bring that back knee up behind the front knee, same as the front knee. Splay your feet out to the side. Sink your hips back into cow pose, cow-ear pose. Strange one, did you get that? I hope so. Knees are stacked upon each other. Doesn't matter the angle of the feet or if the knees are popping up with a big gap, doesn't matter. Just try and find a position that is centered so that the knees are above each other and the angle of the feet is the same on both sides. You might find a massive compression happening here in the knee, sorry, in the hip. It's a kind of a closure. It's a good one. It's hard for anything to go wrong here. Might feel interesting. Stretch up. Intensify it by leaning a little bit forward, but very carefully. Okay, hands down, lift your hips, come out of the pose, move back to plank. Left knee, reach your left knee up between the hands, it's deeply bent. You can drop the back knee or you can stay with the knee off the ground. Shoulders are above the hips, arms up. Keeping the hips lifting, hands support you inside the mat, forehead touches the ground. Hips are lifting. Okay, bring that back knee up behind the other one. It's like you're kind of curtsying with both knees crossed, and then sink your groins down, sink your hips down. Knees are stacked upon each other, feet are equal. Feel the closure in the hips. Reach your arms up, tilting forward. When you're tilting forward, can you sink the sitting bones down further? Okay, hands down, lift up, uncross your knees. And bring your mat to the wall. Change your rhythm. We're more than halfway. Let's do one or two wall poses. So, okay, stand hip width apart, about a foot away from the wall, with your heels 30 centimeters away from the wall. Bend your knees, get your bum up against the wall, and reach down with your fingertips. Your hands are kind of shoulder width apart. I'm on my fingertips. And then activate your feet. Can you lift your toes and your feet? Now be aware your shoulders are pressing forward. Be aware of where your sitting bones touch the wall. And you slowly start sliding that up the wall. Further, further, further. What can you do to go a little bit further up the wall is possibly rotate your hips forward. If you can feel that, so you get an extra millimeter. So you're really trying to get onto the front side of the sitting bones as the contact point moves as far up the wall as possible. Okay, now shuffle your feet back to the wall. Notice you'll get a little bit higher. Keep your hands as far away from the wall as possible, so you're really stretching out the length of the back of the back. Bum bones are as high up the wall as possible. Shoulders are lifting. You're going to get your fingers far forward. And you feel the stretch to the back of the shoulders. Activate your toes if you can, lift them. Breathing through the nose. Okay, I'm placing my hands flat on the mat if possible, and then slowly walk up the wall. Take care. Keep stable, nice broad hands, broad feet if necessary. You can bring your feet together once you're up on the wall. Breathing through the nose. Stay there for as long as you can. If it's not long, fine, come down. Catch your breath, come up again. Try and spend a total of at least 30-40 seconds upside down. You've had enough? Walking down the wall, feet together, knees apart, child's pose, modified child's pose. Okay, come up, make your way up to standing, and we're going to do half moon pose. So get yourself about a leg distance away from the wall. Stand about a leg distance away from the wall. Let me just see if I can adjust this so that we can see what's going on a bit better. Okay. Get your one foot up the wall. Okay, so I'm standing on my left leg. My right foot's up the wall. Try and get those legs kind of 90 degrees. The standing foot is facing away from the wall. The wall foot is parallel to the skirting board. Okay. Using the front hand to support yourself, get a lot of distance, get length in your torso. So like try and get that shoulder forward. You can have this hand on your hip. Check the geometry. I'm trying to get a straight line in the leg and the torso. And then stretching up. Hips are stacked upon each other. Top hand down. Now the wall foot's actually facing the floor, and I'm lifting the opposite hand. It's a reverse version of the same thing. Now you might find your standing leg, those top of the hamstring, the sciatica areas, saying hello. Very good. Can you press that standing thigh into the back of the hamstrings? Can you lift that lifted thigh upwards? Okay, top hand down, feet are together. Other side, left leg up. Foot is parallel to the skirting board for now. Using the hand to support yourself. Start with the hand on your hips. Try and look to the side. Get your shoulders stacked upon each other. Lift the top hand. Top hand. Maybe you want to lift the wall foot slightly. The geometry might feel more interesting. Breathing through the nose. Holding it for a few good quality breaths. Top hand down. Wall foot's facing the floor. Opposite hand up. Drive up with that lifted thigh. Both thighs actually are pressing back. Top hand down, feet together, bend the knees, hands on the hips. Up you come. Nice. We're nearly there. Couple of standing poses. Feet together. Let's try and balance in tree. So I'm standing on my left foot, preparing to lift my right foot. Bring the sole of the foot up onto the thigh as high as possible. Possibly the heel is forward of the toe box. Back, this lifted knee is pulling back, so there's an opening in the hips. You can have your hands on your hips. Out to the side with palms facing up. When you're ready, grow that tree. Rooting down into that taproot of the standing leg. Driving down, can you get lift into the hips? Transfer it up through to the shoulders. All the way up to the leaves. Focus on a spot in front of you. Tune everything else out. Can you slow your breath? sole up as high as possible. Release. Good. It's like the asymmetrical version of the same thing. Standing on my left foot, lifting my right ankle onto the knee. Start bending the knee, and then opposite hand to the knee. So your left hand to your right knee. Top hand up, and sink your hips down into this very asymmetrical, challenging pose, the dancer. Nataraj, the dancer. Release. Left ankle on your right knee. Right hand on the left knee. Sinking your hips down. Fingers are spread. Release. Okay, final few poses. We're on our backs on the floor. It's a good angle here. Resting on your back with your heels up at your bum. You can grab your ankles with your hands. Keep your knees together. They don't have to touch, but keep them hip width apart maximum. Using the strength of your legs to lift your thighs. Keep driving upwards. Press your belly button towards the ceiling. Tuck your shoulders underneath each other. Press your knees towards each other. Drive your hips up. And then slowly come down. Arms out to the side. Feet and knees together. Left leg, sole of the foot towards the ceiling. Lift the hips. Keeping your hips lifted, bend that top leg so that the ankle's on the knee. Drive the hips up. Straighten the leg towards the ceiling again, and then down, keeping the hips up. Right leg up. Straight towards the roof. Bend the top ankle so it's onto the knee, hips driving up. Straighten the leg again. Feet down, hips down. Release. Okay, feet stay connected together. Let your left knee drop down to the ground. Using the strength of the right leg, lift the hips up. The whole right side of your body is active. The left side is draping down. Butterflies. Okay, lower the hips, both knees up. Right knee down to the ground, feet are still touching using the power of the left leg. Lift up the left hip. The right side's draping. Gravity's at play. Release. Both knees down. Bend the knees, interlace your hands over the knees, lift your toes. Lengthen the back of your neck. Pressing your knees towards you. Lift your head a centimeter off the ground. Rotate 90 degrees to the left with your head. Up to the center. Over to the right. Up to the center and relax your head down. Just rolling it from side to side. And then roll onto your side. Back up to sitting. Let's close this pose. Hey Catherine. Nice to see you there. My sister in New Zealand. Find some lift for the final few poses. I like to sit on some books, especially my favorite books. Or you can sit in the saddle pose like we were earlier, with the books between you, like if you were on a horse. If you want to put on a warm top, now's a good time. Well done for the strenuous activity. Now we're practicing stillness. Can we cultivate a sense of contentment, okayness just right now? We sit for a few minutes. The principles are the same. We want to be rooting down into our sitting bones, our spine projecting forward, not hunched over, so it's projecting back. The base of the spine projecting forward and lifting. There's lift into the chest. We use auto-suggestion, so we kind of like, can you mentally click in a mood, even if you're not feeling that mood? Can you set your intention as one of contentment and observation? We're not formulating any opinions, we're trying to just float here, scanning. What can we hear? What can we see? What can we savor? Can we feel a lightness in our breath? Breathing the entire chest like a tiger. Scan your face. Is your forehead relaxed? Your jaw is relaxed. Visualize a lake with ripples. We need to give it a little bit of time for the ripples to settle, so the view becomes clearer. My favorite practice to focus the mind is to breathe one nostril at a time. So using your last two fingers and your thumb like a crab claw, we're manipulating the nostrils as little as you need to, high up. Try and stay centered. There's lift in the shoulders. Block your left nostril, take a deep inhale through the right, pulling down into your diaphragm, noisily. Switch on the exhale. Blowing the nostril open. Inhale through the same nostril. Switch on the exhale. Keep the rhythm and the power. Diaphragm pulls down on the inhale. Switch on the exhale. Switch hands if necessary. Can you keep the depth and the power but quieten it slightly? Keep going. Can you dedicate your focus entirely to the breath, observing it from the start to the finish? Play the full breath equally, distribute the effort across the entire breath. If there's any jerkiness on the exhale, don't worry, just keep going. Next one slightly smoother, just a few more seconds. You can let go with your hands. Wrists can rest on your thighs or on your knees. Or you can cup your hands in front of you, palms facing up. For now, the silent mantra is do less.
Namaste. Thank you for practicing together and giving me a great reason to be here each week. I hope you're feeling refreshed, your nervous and breathing system is cooled, and I wish you a fantastic evening and week ahead. Thank you. Cheers.